Hey, good morning, guys. This is Mario, aka SX-64 Man, and as you can see, my SX-64 is apart again. um, but not for a bad reason. There's nothing wrong with it. I've decided to try putting a Kawari in to see if possibly I could get it to work in PAL mode. This is a NTSC machine. And the popular wisdom is, that's never going to work on, because I have the original CRT. There are mods out there where you can drop in an LCD and take the CRT out, but I kind of like the CRT. And so I decided to experiment a little bit with the Kawari. A while back, I had seen one of Adrian Black's clips on this channel, and I could be mistaken about this, but I believe he actually asked Randy Rossi, because he was helping him beta test the Kawari, to put in an option for 50 hertz, NTSC 50 or PAL 50 or something like that, in order to try to be able to display in another standard. And if that's true, then I have to thank Adrian, because the results are kind of amazing on the SX-64 and completely unexpected. So please forgive the handheld camera, and of course photographing a CRT is very difficult, and my good cameras are packed away. So we just moved into a new place here, so trying to get things up to speed. But without further ado, let me show you inside. So the machine is powered up now in NTSC mode. And as we can see, I have the external video hooked up too. By the way, a lot of folks have said, hey, how come your SX-64 display looks so clear, the CRT, and it doesn't have that chroma bleed that a lot of NTSC machines have? Well, a while back, about a year ago or so, I experimented with bypassing the L2 inductor, which is here in the back. Let me see if I can get you a picture of that. Right there, where you see that white jumper wire, that's actually bridging the L2 inductor. And I did that actually also based on one of Adrian's videos where he modified a bunch of modulators, regular C64, modulators, to improve the picture. And I think in one of them, he bypassed the L1 modulator, the L1 inductor, rather, in the modulator. And I thought, you know what? Let me see if the SX, everybody knows, does not have a modulator, but does it have circuitry that's kind of analogous to a modulator? Well, indeed it does. After all, it has to produce video somehow. And so the L2 inductor is really the equivalent of the L1 inductor in the regular C64 modulator. So for folks that have kind of blurry or that famous yellow or on the edge of the screen, on the edge of the, right there, sometimes there's like a yellow line right there on one of the edges, right, on the CRT, you might want to try that. It's, at first I did it with a jumper wire, so it's completely reversible. You're not, you can just jumper the two legs of the inductor and, carefully power it on. I've had it this way for over a year and have had no problems whatsoever. I'm not an electrical engineer, so I have no idea what the L2 inductor is there for. I'm assuming probably some sort of FCC thing back then, who knows? But I'm sure someone, that's good with video circuitry can probably post down below and let us know what the function of that inductor is. But whatever it's doing, it doesn't seem to be doing anything good. and it's a 22 millihenry inductor. Now, on the PAL SX-64s, I am not sure if they have a 22 millihenry inductor or another value. But anybody with a PAL SX-64 that can confirm that would be actually be good. It's kind of hard, there's on the schematics out there that are posted, most of them seem to be NTSC. However, getting back to the CRT thing, there are two different monitors, clearly, and schematics, out there for two different monitors, a PAL one and an NTSC one for the SX-64, right? So let's take a look at this Kawari. So one of the difficult things was I was not sure if I'd be able to even put the Kawari in there, because after all, it's a little bit bigger than the VIC-20, right? VIC-20, the VIC-II rather. It's early in the morning, so. And the footprint is a little larger. So anyway, I was not sure if that was going to fit or not. Particularly because, as you see right next door here, is a mixed SID. Stereo SID option right there, right? With a 8580 and a 6581. Okay. And, space is kind of tight. By the way, there's the L2 inductor right there. That little guy with the two red eyes. Yep. On the other side of the board. But don't bridge it on this side of the board because it's really difficult to reach. Bridge it on the back. Okay, so, but fortunately, the Kawari Mini fits perfectly. Really, let's see if I can move this cable here a little bit out of the way. Yeah, there we go. So you guys can see here. Where is it? There it is. See if I can get a better angle on it. It literally is pretty, 1 millimeter away from the mixed SID board right there. I do have a jumper on it. Actually, a couple jumpers on it. One that jumper is to switch from PAL to NTSC mode, and that's actually the button that you see here that I'll be playing with in a second. Okay. By the way, you'll notice on my SX-64 also that there's a metal part that's been cut away here. And I did that quite a long time ago because things got so hot in there with the mixed SID that I decided to cut away one of the back supports of the 1541. And, it actually is very, very stable. Because what I did is I just added a little extra leg right, see if we can find it right here, to support the 1541. Where are you? There it is. Right there. And right now it's just laying on top of the plastic storage bin to protect the boards. By the way, that's a fairly good way to, if you have to take something out of the way without having to disconnect anything. And having the Ultimate 2 in there, the 1541, actually kind of helps support everything because it provides a little wall for the drive and the storage bay to lean up against. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. And I'm going to put the switch in the other position. So now we're going to put the switch in PAL mode. And the assumption here is that that'll never work. Yeah, you're going to have a black and white screen, right? Well, I did have a black and white screen when I first did that, and I thought, okay, well, that's expected. But I decided to go into the Kawari and looked at some of the options. And one of them was NTSC 50. And this is with the newest firmware for the Mini. So I turned that on, and lo and behold, here's what we get. And you can see by the, if I can get this to stop strobing. Okay, there we go. You can see by the border color that it's not the cyan of the NTSC. Okay. But it's green like the PAL and SX-64s. That greenish border. It is difficult to tell on this, but you'll have to take my word for it. Now, but how do we know it's in PAL? Well, because my display over here is in black and white, the external output, right? Because obviously that can't display PAL. But is it really PAL, or am I just doing some? And by the way, it is a CRT right there. I don't dare get any closer, right? I don't want to drop this thing in there. Okay. But anyway, yeah, it's definitely a CRT. There's no magic going here, you know. There's no fakery, no LCD screens in the background, no special circuits, nothing. Okay. So one of the goals has always been to play PAL specific stuff, right? Because the software. Because the demos and stuff, the PAL demos are, you know, better. I mean, there's just a lot more of them. So I thought, you know, I'm going to have to figure out if this indeed is in PAL mode or not. Because, you know, you really don't believe it until you see it and you test it out. And I do need to do a lot more testing. Things like the dot clock, for example. You know, there's some good videos that Insanity did on that people might want to check out about, you know, driving or sending the Kawari's dot clock to the expansion port. I haven't actually experimented with that here yet, and in fact I haven't even measured the dot clock at the expansion port yet, and that's why I have the meter actually going, and I'll do that and see what it says. But one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this back to NTSC mode real quick, and so we can do a little before and after on the introduction of one of the demos. So stay tuned. Okay, so we're going to run this famous Star Wars demo, which is often used to test the capabilities of a system to make sure it's working okay. And this is in NTSC mode. And as you can see, both on the LCD screen and on the CRT, clearly there's some artifacts in the video going on. So I'm going to pause a little bit and then kind of skip ahead to the next place where the video kind of breaks up a little bit. Well, we'll take a look at this opening screen here. So the opening screen seems to be okay. It actually looks a little bit better on the screen, not as washed out. Okay, so after this little section here, I believe is where the troubles begin. Yeah, right there. Okay, so now we have a white screen and pretty much on NTSC mode, that's the way it continues for a while. The demo's still playing, but clearly we don't have video. So I'll pause here now and switch the machine into PAL mode. Okay, so we're up and running in PAL mode, and let's see what happens now. Oops, I turned off the audio. And for the musicians out there, you can tell it's a half step lower. So it's running slower, as it should be in PAL mode. Or our PAL folks would say it's running correctly. So we'll go up to the same section there and see what happens. Okay, so this is where, after this screen here, is where the NTSC crapped out. Well, well, here we go. Yeah, and it really does look, you know, very much just like it would on a PAL machine. It's hard to tell because of, again, using the phone to take pictures of a CRT. It's probably the worst video you can hope for. But, yeah, clearly this machine is in PAL mode, and it likes the Ultimate and the expansion port. So that's also a good thing. Yeah. So let me go ahead and pause this, and we'll continue. Okay, so I thought I would take a look at the dot clock. And we're back in NTSC mode, as you can see. Right there, okay. And as expected, you run over to the scope here. The dot clock is 8.18. That's what we would expect it to be in NTSC mode. And to do that, by the way, I'm using Sven Petersen's expansion port breakout board. And if you have an SX-64, you got to have one of these, because this will expose all the signals, VicII-II, you know, IRQ, read-write, DMA, and you can take a look at any of those signals on an SX-64 without cracking open the case, you know, because unlike a regular C64, you just can't get at some of those pins, even the ones on the ICs, because they're buried, you know, when it's all assembled. So this board, you can get it from his Github. It's actually upside down, but the logo, but it's the, what is that? Cartridge C64 expansion port breakout board. So I'll just do a search on Sven Petersen's GitHub. It's Sven Petersen 1965, I believe. Yeah, great board and indispensable. I've used this so many times. It also has pass-through, so you can you know, put a cartridge on there like the Ultimate 1541 Ultimate or anything like that, and still operate it in the pass-through mode. Okay, so 8.18, right? That's what we want. That looks good. So let's turn this off now and switch it over to, there we go, PAL mode. Okay, so we're in PAL mode. And by the way, you can tell, another way you can tell it's in PAL mode is the geometry's a little off. You can see the screen is pushed over to the right a little bit. Wonder if there's a way to fix that. Well, no, because then that would mess up the NTSC one. Maybe on the Kawari setup, there might be a way to shift something over. I'll have to ask Randy Rossi about that. If we can have different adjustments, or maybe there already is, I'm just not aware of it, for PAL versus NTSC, shifting over the screen. Okay, so this is the interesting part now. Being an NTSC SX-64, obviously, you know, this has the 14 kilohertz or megahertz rather oscillator, and not the 17, which is what PAL would have. So what is the dot clock? Okay, so this is interesting because the dot clock is, let's take a new reading. Yeah, 8.16, 8.8. So it's on the NTSC dot clock, which is kind of interesting. Okay. And I'm measuring that at the expansion port. Now, we know that Kawari does make a firmware where you can actually modify your motherboard and basically cut the dot clock from being generated by the internal electronics, by the the internal crystal, and send it over, and instead have the firmware on the Kawari generate the dot clock signal and send it to the expansion port and to the VIC-II, substituting what the oscillator used to do on the motherboard. Okay, so now that we're in PAL mode, I thought I would fire up the Kawari utility so you guys see what exactly the settings. So you go into the config of the Kawari there, and as you can see, let's see if I can get it closer there we go. I have it set for 6569R3, so that's the PAL variant. Oops. And the key is that NTSC 50 on right there, that option. So you just put that option on, save the config, reboot, put it in PAL mode, and you get a nice color screen. So one other thing that I also forgot to mention is that initially my picture rolled vertically, okay, but that's actually easy to fix because you can go over to here, and there is, as you can see, right, vertical hold right underneath the volume. Over here there is a opening, kind of hard to tell right there, that first one right in there, but there's a pot in there, that top pot that you see right there. Yeah, you just adjust that slightly and then that'll stop the vertical roll. So that's all you have to do for that. And fortunately, by adjusting it a little bit, it actually it didn't have any ill effects on NTSC mode. So I don't have to adjust it back and forth or anything like that. It just stays in both modes. Yeah, so let me fire this up in NTSC mode now. So we're going to turn this off and go back into the utility. And okay, so now we have the familiar NTSC screen. Oops. It's hard to type and film at the same time. There we go. And back into the config. And here you can tell in NTSC mode. Now I didn't change anything, so it automatically went into 6567 VIC-II R8 version. And you can see NTSC 50 is still on. Oh yeah, and the external switch is on, you know, because it's now pressed in, so it detects that. That's the switch that's connected to the Kawari jumpers to switch it back and forth from NTSC to PAL. So, yeah, and you can tell it's in PAL mode there. I mean, sorry, in NTSC mode, rather. So there it is. Okay, so those were the two options. That's where I changed it. It's that right there. NTSC 50. If it stops rolling, we could see it right in there. That's the magic option. So I thought I would do one more experiment to see if running PAL with the NTSC dot clock would have any adverse effects on running some more complicated software, something like Sonic. You know what? Let's try that right now. Okay, so I have no idea if this is going to work or not. So we'll give it a try. Let's try the D81. Sorry about the flashing, guys. There we go. If I can hold it there. I have not tried this, so I have no idea if this is going to work or not. Okay, there we go. Load full game into REU? Sure, why not? Okay, so that's interesting. That did not seem to work. Okay, I restarted the loading again one more time to see if we can get through this first section here, but I have a feeling not. I'm still using fast load mode instead of compatible. Don't know if that'll make any difference or not. Oh, okay, it's working. Okay, so that was an interesting glitch there, and maybe that has something to do with the dot clock being incorrect. I don't know, but at least it's getting further this time, so that's interesting. Okay. Now, will it work past here, though? Sometimes it likes to crap out right there somewhere. Hey! Yeah, I can't run this one-handed. All right. Ah, that crab got me again. Okay, so clearly it's fairly compatible. I mean, this software is hard to run on a lot of machines because it requires the REU. Probably requires DMA as well. Not sure about that. Oh, okay. Let's put Sonic to bed here. Hang on. All right. Okay. Well, that's great news. I mean, that actually works. And on this machine, it does run in NTSC mode also. So I don't think you guys need to see that. But, yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad I tried that. So Star Wars and Sonic both work. And the screen looks darn good. Yeah, and you can tell we're still in PAL mode there. Yeah. Because my external monitor is having a fit. And yeah, I'm glad I tried this. It wasn't supposed to work. In theory, it shouldn't work, especially with the wrong dot clock. But it is working. Let me know if you guys want me to test anything else. Any other things that would be a good test, especially at the dot clock situation there. Yeah, so just let me know. Hope you enjoyed this, and let's see where this goes. But this may be kind of revolutionary for NTSC 64 SX-64 users, you know. Maybe everybody will start getting Kawaris and pulling out their LCD screens. Well, I don't know about that. Yeah, it's nice having the original CRT in here. And clearly, it works. So I don't know if this is an isolated case of mine working. I doubt it. You know, there's nothing special about this machine. I'm really... if anybody has a Kawari Mini out there and you want to try it on your SX-64, let me know how it goes. I'd be really interested in finding out if the results are reproducible across all the NTSC SX-64s. So, this is Mario, SX-64 man. Hope you guys enjoy this, and sorry about the handheld, and, you know, this is kind of an impromptu thing. I just wanted to get out to you guys because it wasn't supposed to work, and it did. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks, and please subscribe if you like it, and give me a thumbs up if you like it, or thumbs down if you don't like it. I know a lot of folks don't like to see stuff taking out of the SX-64, but it's only temporary, guys. You know, it's only temporary. It's actually a wonderful machine. You know, it's my favorite C64. So, okay. Have a good one, guys. Take care. Thanks for watching.